My fiance walked into my parents' house and my mom said, "You can't marry him because I almost did." I stood there in the doorway with my jaw on the floor and demanded to know what she was talking about. She just shook her head and walked into the kitchen without another word, leaving me and my fiance standing in the entryway like idiots. My dad appeared from the living room and shook my fiance's hand. "Nice to finally meet you." I kept waiting for mom to come back and explain herself, but she never did. Every time I walked into a room where she was, she found a reason to leave within 30 seconds. She needed to check on dinner. She needed to make a phone call. She needed to grab something from upstairs. My fiance would sit down on the couch and she would suddenly remember she left laundry in the dryer. After the fourth time it happened, I followed her into the kitchen and cornered her by the refrigerator. She looked like a trapped animal. "What did you mean about almost marrying him?" She pressed her lips together and said nothing. "Why are you avoiding him?" Her jaw tightened. "I'm not avoiding anyone." Then she hit me with the strangest question I have ever heard my mother ask. "Does he have a lot of close male friends?" I stared at her. "What does that have to do with anything?" She ignored me. "Are you two affectionate with each other?" I crossed my arms. "We're plenty affectionate. Why are you being so weird?" She opened her mouth like she was about to say something and then closed it again and looked away. "How often do you two actually spend time together alone?" I stepped back. "I'm not standing here and justifying my relationship to you." She grabbed my arm with this desperate look in her eyes, but still wouldn't tell me what was going on. I pulled away and went back to the living room. About 20 minutes later, I went looking for my fiance to see if he wanted to take a walk and get away from whatever this disaster had become. I found him in the hallway near the bathroom, and my mom was right in his face with her finger pointed at his chest. They both went dead silent the second they saw me. "What's going on?" My mom wouldn't look at me. "Nothing, just catching up." She pushed past me and disappeared into the kitchen again. My fiance gave me this tight smile. "Your family is really something." I found my parents whispering to each other in the dining room later that night, and when I walked in, they jumped apart like teenagers caught doing something wrong. My mom hissed at my dad in this urgent voice I could barely hear. "We have to say something before this goes any further." My dad whispered back just as urgently, "We can't just drop a bomb like that without knowing for sure." I stepped fully into the room. "What bomb?" They both rose. My mom's voice came out thin. "Nothing. I'm not stupid. Something is going on and I deserve to know what it is." She just stared at me with this pained expression and said nothing. I finally snapped. "If this is about the age gap, get over it. I'm a grown woman and I can make my own choices, and I don't need your approval to marry the man I love." She looked like I had slapped her across the face. She opened her mouth and closed it again, and I could see her struggling to say something, but nothing came out. "This is ridiculous. I'm done trying to have a conversation with someone who won't talk to me." I turned around and walked out of the room to find my fiance. He wasn't in the living room. He wasn't in the kitchen. I walked down the hallway toward my dad's study and noticed the door was almost closed but not quite latched. I pushed it open. My dad had him pressed against the bookshelf and they were kissing like they had done it 1,000 times before. They broke apart the second they heard the door creak, and his face went completely white while my dad started stammering about how this wasn't what it looked like. I stared at both of them for a long moment, and then I said the only thing that came to mind. "Of all people, you go for my dad?" My mom appeared behind me in the doorway and took in the whole scene. She looked at me with this searching expression. "Wait, you knew?" I almost laughed. "Mom, I have a girlfriend. I wasn't going to tell you, but apparently this runs in the family. Would have been nice to know you were his beard 30 years ago before you handed him down to me." My dad, in what might be the single dumbest move I have ever witnessed from another human being, reached over and grabbed his butt like now that everything was out in the open, they were somehow in the clear. My mom's voice came out like a whip crack. "Now is not the time." The room went dead silent. I looked at my mom. "So, do you have a girlfriend too?"